Science and religion are two of the most important influences in our world today. And of course, I think it's important that we try to understand how science and religion relate to each other. And I'm joined today by Dr. A.J. Roberts, a virologist, a molecular biologist, and a Christian who has given quite a bit of thought to this question. And we're following after Ian Barber's approach to science and religion, where Barber argues that there's four models: the conflict model, the independence model, the dialogue model, and then the integration model. And today we want to focus on the integration model. And for the sake of our audience, could you tell us what the integration model is, AJ?
The integration model is a way of relating science and religion or Christianity that allows them to challenge each other directly and to inform each other. It can also harmonize what we know to be true on those things that touch on both the natural order of things and the spiritual order of things. So where there are common truths, it actually harmonizes those. And some people actually refer to this model as concordism, finding a concord or an agreement between what we know in nature and what we know from Scripture.
Great, great. Now, it seems to me that trying to integrate what is true or what we think is true from religion and what we think is true from science could be really daunting and a frightening approach to science and Christianity specifically. So what are some of the challenges with the integration model?
Well, I think you're right, Fuzz. I think it's actually very difficult sometimes to resolve apparent contradictions between theology and science. And yet, I think the effort in trying to find the integration is very worthwhile. It can actually strengthen and deepen one's faith. I found that certainly to be true as I've worked through these areas of integration and challenge and common information passing between the two. It's really caused me to examine, well, what do I believe about the scientific aspects of reality, and what do I believe about the theological claims of reality, and what do I have to sort of tweak in order to find an integration point, to find harmony between the two. Not only can that lead to a deeper understanding of reality in general and a more robust and coherent worldview, but it can actually also lead to worship. There are times when I've seen resolution come that my response has just been one of absolute awe and wanting to give praise for seeing how science and theology can fit so neatly together. And that makes sense if we understand God as the author of both books, the book of nature and the book of Scripture. We should expect there to be harmony.
You know, this is something that I think is interesting, is that I've been involved in this whole enterprise of trying to integrate science and the Christian faith in a very aggressive way for the last 16 years. And, you know, I like to joke that the longer I do this kind of work, the less certain I am about anything that I say or propose, but the more confident I am about the Christian faith. And I think it's through that process of wrestling, realizing that there are answers that come eventually, and that when they come, sometimes the resolution is far beyond what you could imagine. I mean, what would be your reaction to that?
I think that's a great point you just brought up, because what I heard you say, even though you didn't use these words, is that it requires sort of an ongoing intellectual humility. We have to be willing to allow the things that we thought we understood or the things that we think we understand now to be challenged, both by the Scripture and by scientific discovery. And we have to be able to say, I need to reevaluate. These two things seem to be coming into some element of contradiction, and yet I don't believe that contradiction is the ultimate end goal, because I believe that there will be resolution, because we should be seeking truth in both science and in religion. And so I think that it requires, and that's part of the difficulty behind it too, is that it requires this sort of position of humility and willing to learn and to say, I don't know as much as I thought I used to know, and yet what I do know seems to be fairly robust and comforting